The air in Terminal C of Logan International Airport buzzed with the hum of jet engines and the restless chatter of early morning travelers. It was 5:45 a.m. on March 27, 2025, and Captain Zara Mitchell, 42, strode through the chaos with the unshakable poise of a woman who'd conquered the skies. Her crisp Sky Nation Airlines uniform hugged her frame, the 4 golden stripes on her shoulders gleaming like badges of honor earned over 20 years and 11,000 flight hours. Her natural curls were swept into a tight bun beneath her captain's hat, and her dark skin glowed under the harsh fluorescent lights, a beacon of resilience, in a world that hadn't always welcomed her. Today was supposed to be routine: pilot the 7:30 a.m. flight to Chicago, attend an FAA board meeting and return home. But fate had other plans. Zara approached the crew lounge at Gate C-42, a sanctuary for pilots to prepare and decompress. She swiped her Sky Nation ID badge against the reader. Beep. Red light. She frowned, swiped again. Beep. Still red. A flicker of irritation sparked in her chest, but she kept her composure. Years in the Air Force had taught her that. As she reached for her phone to call maintenance, a voice sliced through the air behind her, sharp and unwelcoming. Need help with something? She turned to face Derek Holt, a middle-aged man with a Sky Nation blazer and a name tag that read crew manager. His tone wasn't helpful, it was a challenge. Zara straightened, meeting his gaze. My badge isn't working. I'm Captain Mitchell, flying SKN 447 to Chicago this morning. Holt's eyes narrowed, flicking from her face to the captain's stripes, then to her ID dangling from her neck. This lounge is for Sky Nation crew only, he said, his voice dripping with skepticism. Zara's jaw tightened. I am Sky Nation crew. Here's my ID, pilot's license, captain's certification, take your pick. She handed over her credentials, her tone steady but edged with steel. Holt snatched them, inspecting each document with exaggerated scrutiny, his lips curling into a faint sneer. These don't look right, he muttered, loud enough for her to hear. We've had imposters before. Before Zara could respond, a white pilot, Captain Larson, sauntered up, swiped his badge and breezed past Holt with a casual morning, Derek. Holt nodded back, all smiles, stepping aside like a doorman for royalty. The contrast hit Zara like a punch to the gut. 20 years of breaking barriers, first as an Air Force pilot, then as one of Sky Nation's few black female captains, and still, here she was, reduced to an outsider in her own domain. What did you just say? Her voice cut through the air, low and dangerous. Holt shrugged, unfazed. I'm doing my job. If you can't get in, there's a public area down the hall. More comfortable for everyone. He leaned closer, his words laced with implication. Don't make this a scene. Zara's hands clenched into fists, her nails digging into her palms. Comfortable for who, Holt? You doubting me because of my papers or my skin? The accusation hung heavy between them. Holt smirked, stepping forward. Call it what you want, lady. If you've got a problem, take it up with management. Or better yet. A deafening boom interrupted him. The terminal shook as if struck by thunder. Heads whipped toward the massive windows overlooking the tarmac. Black smoke billowed from a Sky Nation plane that had just screeched to an emergency landing, its front landing gear sparking against the runway like a firework gone wrong. Screams erupted from the crowd. Sirens wailed in the distance. Zara's heart slammed against her ribs, not from fear, but from a sudden searing clarity. Something was wrong at Sky Nation, and this wasn't a coincidence. Holt stumbled back, his bravado evaporating. What the hell? He stammered, but Zara was already moving. She yanked her phone from her pocket and dialed a number she knew by heart. Director Phillips, it's Zara Mitchell. I'm at Logan. We've got a situation, crew lounge access denied with clear bias, and a Sky Nation jet just nearly crashed on landing. I need emergency inspection authority now. Holt's face drained of color as he overheard her. What are you doing? He barked, lunging forward and grabbing her arm. Zara wrenched free, her eyes blazing. I'm an FAA board member, Holt. You just picked the wrong fight. Before he could retort, a young voice broke through the chaos. Captain Mitchell? First Officer Kyla Evans, 25, hurried toward her, her co-pilot uniform pristine but her wide eyes betraying alarm. What's happening? We're due for pre-flight soon. Zara turned, her resolve hardening. Kyla, get to the plane. Start the pre-flight checks. I'll join you after I handle this. As Kyla nodded and dashed off, Zara faced Holt one last time. Last chance, would you block me? Holt faltered, sweat beading on his forehead. Two was just checking. No need to escalate. Too late, Zara snapped. She spoke into her phone again. Robert, it's worse than I thought. That near crash? I've got a hunch it's tied to bigger issues. Send a team to Chicago, I'm leading it. The wail of sirens grew louder as emergency crews swarmed the tarmac. Zara's pulse raced, not from the chaos around her, but from the fire igniting within. For 6 months, she'd quietly collected reports from minority pilots' whispers of unfair schedules, ignored safety concerns, buried complaints. Today it all clicked. That locked lounge door wasn't just an insult, it was a symptom. And that smoking plane? A warning she couldn't ignore. As she strode toward the gate, her captain's hat casting a shadow over her determined face, Zara knew one thing for certain. Sky Nation was about to face a reckoning. And she'd be the one to deliver it. The cockpit of Sky Nation Flight SKN 447 hummed with the low rumble of engines as Captain Zara Mitchell settled into her seat, her hand steady on the controls despite the storm raging in her mind. It was 7:25 a.m., just under 2 hours since Derek Holt's sneering face and the smoking wreckage of a Sky Nation jet had turned her routine morning into a battle cry. Beside her, First Officer Kyla Evans, 25, darted quick glances her way, her youthful energy tinged with unease. The pre-flight checklist unfolded in crisp, practice silency altimeters set, fuel levels confirmed, but the air between them crackled with unspoken questions. Outside, the tarmac glistened with the aftermath of chaos. Emergency crews swarmed the runway where the near crash had unfolded, their flashing lights painting the dawn in eerie reds and blues. Zara's jaw tightened as she replayed the scene. The jet's nose scraping concrete, sparks flying like a warning flare. She'd seen too many close calls in her 20 years aloft, but this one felt different, personal. Holt's smug dismissal wasn't just an insult. It was a thread she'd tug until the whole rotten tapestry of Sky Nation unraveled. Captain! Kyla's voice broke through, tentative but firm. That mess back there, you okay? Zara met her gaze, seeing a flicker of the same fire she'd felt at Kyla's age, hungry to prove herself, yet shadowed by the industry's unspoken barriers. I'm fine, Kyla, she said, her tone steady but laced with steel. But Sky Nation isn't. That plane didn't almost go down by accident. We're flying to Chicago, and then I'm digging until I find out why. Kyla nodded, her fingers pausing over the throttle controls. I've heard rumors, pilots on the late shifts complaining about short rest, maintenance logs that don't add up. You think it's connected? I know it is, Zara replied, her eyes narrowing. For 6 months I've been collecting whispers reports from pilots like you, Kyla. Minority crews stuck on grueling routes, safety concerns swept under the rug. Today's the day I stop listening and start acting. She tapped her headset, signaling the tower. SKN 447, ready for pushback. As the plane taxied toward the runway, Zara's mind raced ahead to Chicago. Director Phillips had promised an FAA team would meet her at O'Hare, but she knew this wasn't just about one incident. That locked lounge door, Holt's sneer, the jet's near disaster, they were symptoms of a disease festering in Sky Nation's bones. And as a captain and an FAA board member, she had the tools to cut it out. The ascent was smooth, the Boston skyline shrinking beneath a blanket of clouds, but Zara's focus was razor-sharp. She pictured the reports tucked in her mental vault. A junior pilot denied a promotion after flagging fatigue, a mechanic pressured to sign off on shaky repairs. Each one a pinprick of doubt. Together, a map to something sinister. By the time the plane leveled at 35,000 feet, her resolve was ironclad. Chicago wouldn't just be a layover, it'd be ground zero. Meanwhile, 800 miles away, the plush corner office of Sky Nation Airlines Chicago headquarters buzzed with a different kind of energy. Ethan Carver, CEO, leaned back in his leather chair, a smug grin tugging at his lips as he skimmed the latest quarterly report. Profits were way up thanks to his efficiency optimizations. Fewer maintenance checks on low-revenue routes, tighter crew schedules, a little creative accounting. The board loved him for it. Shareholders practically sang his praises. At 52 he was untouchable, or so he thought. His intercom crackled. Mr. Carver, Marcus Chun is here. Carver frowned. His chief of operations didn't drop by unannounced unless something was burning. "Send him in," he barked, straightening his tie. Marcus entered, tablet in hand, his usually calm demeanor frayed at the edges. "Sir, we've got a problem. A Sky Nation jet nearly crashed at Logan an hour ago. Emergency landing. Front gear failure. And Captain Zara Mitchell's involved." Carver's grin vanished. "Mitchell? Who the hell is she?" "She's one of our captains," Marcus said, swallowing hard. "Flying to Chicago now. But she's also on the FAA licensing board. She's claiming discrimination at Logan, some crew lounge incident, and she's requested an emergency inspection. Here. Today." Carver shot to his feet, his coffee mug clattering to the desk. "Discrimination? Inspection? Over a damn lounge? What's she got?" Marcus hesitated, his voice dropping. "I don't know the full scope, but the near crash's linking it to us. Sir, if she digs into maintenance logs or rest schedules," he trailed off, the implication hanging like a guillotine. Carver's face darkened. "Those logs are clean enough. We've been smart about it. Spread the cuts where no one notices." "Right." Marcus shifted uncomfortably. "Mostly. But if she's FA and she's pissed, clean enough might not cut it." "Find out everything about her," Carver snapped, pacing to the window. Below, O'Hare's runways stretched out like veins feeding his empire. "I want her record, her weaknesses, anything we can use. And get legal on standby. No jumped-up captains grounding my airline over a locked door." Back in the cockpit, the descent into Chicago began, the city's skyline piercing the horizon like a jagged promise. Kyla broke the silence again. "Captain, what happens when we land? This feels bigger than us." Zara's lips curved into a faint, determined smile. "It is, Kyla. When we touch down, we're not just pilots anymore. We're the reckoning Sky Nation's been dodging for years. You with me?" Kyla's eyes lit up, a mix of fear and resolve. "All the way, Captain." The wheels kissed the runway at 9:15 a.m., a soft thud marking their arrival. Zara unbuckled, her mind already racing toward the FAA team waiting in the terminal. She didn't know it yet, but Carver's empire was about to tremble, and she held the first match to light the fire. The Sky Nation Operations Center at O'Hare International Airport thrummed with nervous energy as Captain Zara Mitchell stormed through its glass doors at 9:45 a.m. Her captain's hat sat firm, a crown of authority, but her eyes burned with the fire of a woman scorned and ready to strike. Behind her trailed First Officer Kyla Evans, clutching a tablet, and two FA Inspector stone-faced professionals in dark suits, their briefcases bristling with intent. The near crash at Logan, Derek Holt's sneering face, and 6 months of buried reports churned in Zara's mind like fuel for a jet engine. This wasn't just an inspection, it was war. She strode into Conference Room B, a sterile space now commandeered for the FAA's reckoning. "Spread out," she ordered, her voice cutting through the hum of overhead lights. "Kyla, pull crew rest logs for the last 18 months. Inspectors, start with maintenance records, cross-reference every deferred repair against flight data. I want patterns and I want them fast." The team snapped into action, fingers flying over keyboards, papers rustling like leaves in a storm. Zara's gut told her the rot ran deep. Now she'd prove it. Within an hour, the room buzzed with grim discovery. Kyla slid her tablet across the table, her young face pale but resolute. "Captain, look at this rest logs for transcontinental routes. Pilots on low-revenue flights, mostly junior crews, are clocking 20% less downtime than FAA minimums. It's consistent, hundreds of instances." Zara's eyes narrowed as she scanned the data. "And the premium routes?" "Fully compliant," Kyla said. "Mostly senior pilots, mostly white. The disparity's blatant." One of the inspectors, a wiry man named Harris, looked up from his laptop. "It gets worse. Maintenance logs show 6 deferred repairs in the last 3 months, critical systems, overdue by weeks. One matches the jet from Logan this morning. Gear failure wasn't a fluke, it was a time bomb they let fly." Zara's heart thudded, a mix of fury and vindication. "Keep digging," she said, her voice low and lethal. "This isn't negligence, it's a system." She'd barely finished when the door slammed open, revealing Captain Victor Grayson, 65, head of the Pilots Association. His grizzled face was flushed red, his towering frame filling the doorway like a bull ready to charge. "Mitchell," he bellowed, storming in. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" Zara rose, meeting his glare with icy calm. "My job, Grayson. Both of them captain and FA board member. Step aside or explain why your signature's on these rest waivers." She slid a tablet toward him, displaying documents that slashed pilot downtime below legal limits. Grayson snatched it, his thick fingers trembling as he scrolled. "This is Association Business Me Authority. You're blowing a locked lounge out of proportion. Then why'd you try to shred this?" Zara countered, nodding to Kyla, who produced a crumpled page one of Grayson's waivers, snatched from a shredder moments earlier when he'd stormed the records room. His face twisted in rage and he lunged, grabbing a stack of printouts from the table. "You want a fight, Mitchell? You'll bury us all." Kyla leapt forward, blocking him. "That's evidence." Grayson shoved her aside, papers scattering, but Zara was faster. She seized his arm, twisting it with Air Force precision until he dropped the files with a grunt. "Touch my team again," she hissed, "and you're done." The inspectors scrambled to gather the evidence as Grayson yanked free, his breathing ragged. "You're a traitor," he spat, retreating to the door. "This'll ruin every pilot here, especially your kind." The threat hung like smoke, but Zara didn't flinch. "If my kind means safe pilots, I'll take that risk. Now get out." He stormed off, leaving a chill in his wake. Back at Sky Nation's executive suite, Ethan Carver paced like a caged lion, his phone pressed to his ear. "Legal says what?" he snapped, his voice rising. Marcus Chun stood nearby, wringing his hands as the CEO's call with the airline's attorneys grew heated. "An injunction? Then file it. Mitchell's tearing us apart down there." He slammed the phone down, turning to Marcus. "What's she got?" Marcus swallowed hard. "Rest logs, maintenance records connecting dots. That Logan jet? Deferred maintenance, sir. She's got the paper trail." Carver's eyes widened, then narrowed. "That's nothing, optimizations, not violations. Spin it." "It's not spinning," Marcus said, voice cracking. "She's got to mails your emails. Route categorizations, cutting corners on less profitable flights. I warned you." "Shut up," Carver roared, slamming his fist on the desk. "Get me dirt on her, bias, personal grudges, anything. And call Grayson, tell him to stall her." He grabbed his private line, dialing a number. "Bill, it's Ethan. Your pilot Mitchell's out of control. Fix this or we're all sunk." Downstairs, Zara's team pressed on, the clock ticking toward noon. Kyla unearthed an internal memo, Carver's signature ordering efficiency prioritizations based on passenger demographics. Zara's blood ran cold as she read it. Safety / for routes with lower value travelers, code for diverse, working-class flyers. "This is criminal," she muttered, handing it to Harris. "Cross-check it with fatigue metrics. I want proof it's endangered lives." Suddenly, her phone buzzed. Director Phillips. "Zara, Carver's hitting every contact he's got. Says you're on a vendetta. What's the haul?" "Rock solid," she replied, voice steady. "Systematic violations, rest cuts, maintenance fraud, discriminatory route policies. I've got emails tying it to Carver himself." A pause. "Serious if true. But they're watching you airtight." "Understood," she said, hanging up as Grayson's words echoed in her mind. "You'll bury us all." Maybe she would, but if Sky Nation was a house of cards built on lies, she'd topple it to save the next flight from crashing. The room grew quiet, the weight of their findings settling in. Kyla broke the silence. "Captain, if we push this, it's war." Zara met her gaze, a spark of pride flaring. "It already is, Kyla. And we're not backing down." The clock in conference room B at Sky Nation's O'Hare Operations Center ticked past 1 p.m., but time felt like it had frozen for Captain Zara Mitchell. Her team's findings sprawled across the table, tablets glowing with falsified rest logs, maintenance records screaming neglect, and Ethan Carver's damning emails exposing a profit-driven scheme that gambled with lives. The air was thick with the weight of it all. 372 documented violations, a pattern of cutting corners on low-value routes, and a near crash at Logan that wasn't an anomaly but a warning. Zara's pulse hammered as she stared at the data, her mind racing. This wasn't just about Justice Anna Marie, it was about stopping the next disaster. First Officer Kyla Evans broke the silence, her voice trembling with urgency. Captain, you need to see this. She shoved a tablet into Zara's hands, displaying real-time flight data. SKN 892 Chicago to Seattle airborne now. The pilots logged 14 hours straight. No rest break. And the plane? Deferred hydraulic maintenance, flagged 2 weeks ago. Zara's stomach dropped. She scanned the fatigue metrics, reaction times lagging, altitude deviations creeping in. They're flying a coffin, she whispered, then snapped to action. Harris, get me tower access now. The wiry FAA inspector bolted from the room, radio crackling as he barked orders. Zara turned to Kyla. Pull the flight recorder feed. I need every second of this live. Minutes later, they burst into O'Hare's FAA control room, a hive of screens and headsets. Harris shoved a radio into Zara's hand. You're patched to the tower. The got SKN 892 on scope. She gripped it, her voice cutting through the static. This is Captain Zara Mitchell, FAA board member. SKN 892 is a safety risk-fatigued pilot, unaddressed hydraulics. Order them down, emergency landing now. The controller hesitated. Ma'am, they're at 30,000 feet, 200 miles out. Sky Nation's ops are pushing back, say it's under control. Under control? Zara's tone turned to steel. Patch me to the cockpit, I'm taking this direct. Seconds ticked by, then a weary voice crackled through. SKN 892, Captain Torres speaking. Torres, this is Zara Mitchell, Sky Nation captain and FAA. You're flying on fumes, 14 hours, no rest. Your hydraulics are compromised. You reading me? Pause, then a shaky reply. I'm managing. Ops said it's fine. You're not fine, Zara cut in, her heart pounding. I've got your data, reaction times are shot. Land now, or you won't make Seattle. Torres's breathing rasped over the line. Tower's telling me to hold course. A beep interrupted altitude warning. Damn it, she's sluggish. Okay, Mitchell, I'm declaring it. Emergency descent. Zara exhaled, but the fight wasn't over. She spun to Harris. Get Phillips on the line. This ends today. As Torres guided SKN 892 toward an emergency landing in Minneapolis, Zara dialed Director Phillips, her voice unwavering. Robert, it's Zara. SKN 892 was a disaster waiting to happen. Fatigue, maintenance fraud, all documented. We've got 372 violations, Carver's emails proving intent. I'm recommending emergency suspension of Sky Nation's license, effective immediately. Phillips's silence stretched then. You're sure? This'll strand thousands, tank their stock. I'm sure, she said. Another flight like that and we're counting bodies, not passengers. Sign it. At Sky Nation's headquarters, Ethan Carver's world was imploding. His office phone rang off the hook. Board members, lawyers, the FAA chairman's office, but he ignored it, glaring at Marcus Chan. She stopped SKN 892? He roared, slamming his desk. How'd she even know? Marcus clutched a tablet, his face ashen. She's got everything, rest logs, maintenance, your emails. I gave her the recordings, sir. You ordering the cuts, it's all there. Carver froze, his eyes bulging. You what? He lunged, grabbing Marcus by the collar. You traitorous. The door burst open. Victor Grayson stormed in, breathless. Mitchell's teams locked us out of ops. FA's grounding planes 3 already down for inspection. Carver shoved Marcus aside, his voice a snarl. Get me legal file injunctions, call the chairman. Bury her in red tape. He snatched his private line. Bill, it's Ethan again. She's suspending us. Do something. Back in the control room, Zara watched the radar as SKN 892 touched down safely, her chest tight with relief but her mind racing. Phillips's voice crackled through. Zara, it's done. Emergency order signed. Sky Nation's license is suspended as of 3 p.m. All flights land and stay grounded. She nodded, the weight settling in. Thank you, Robert. Send the full report, I'm heading to ops. As she hung up, Kyla grabbed her arm. Captain, Carver's fighting Bakuggles swarming. Grayson's rallying pilots against us. Let them, Zara said, her eyes fierce. They've got no legs to stand on it with this. She tapped the tablet, Carver's voice echoing from Marcus's recording. Cut rest on the cheap routes, nobody cares if they're tired. The ops center buzzed with chaos as word spread. Pilots grounded mid-shift. Crews whispering in clusters. Grayson barreled toward Zara, his face a mask of fury. You've killed us, Mitchell. Hundreds of jobs gone over your ego. Zara stepped forward, unflinching. Not ego, Grayson lives. SKN 892 would have crashed without this. Your waivers helped make it happen. She thrust the tablet at him, his signature glaring back. Explain that to the NTSB. He swatted it away, voice dropping to a growl. You'll pay for this, every pilot like you will. He stormed off, but his threat lingered like a shadow. Kyla watched him go, then turned to Zara. We did it, but now what? Zara's gaze hardened. Now we face the fire, Kyla. Carver's not done and neither are we. Upstairs, Carver collapsed into his chair. The board chairman's text lighting up his phone. Emergency meeting for PM, explain yourself. His empire was crumbling, and Zara Mitchell, once just a name on a roster, had lit the fuse. The clock struck 4 p.m. on March 27, 2025, and the Sky Nation Operations Center at O'Hare was a ghost town, planes silent on the tarmac, crews milling in stunned disbelief. Captain Zara Mitchell stood in the FAA control room, her captain's hat resting on a console, as she reviewed the emergency suspension order. Sky Nation's license was dead, grounded at 3 p.m. by her hand and Director Phillips's signature. SKN 892's safe landing replayed in her Minda victory, snatched from disaster but the weight of 372 violations, and a toppled airline pressed down like a storm cloud. She'd saved lives, but the war was far from won. First Officer Kyla Evans hovered nearby, her tablet glowing with breaking news alerts. Captain, it's everywhere. CNN X aviation blogs. FAA suspends Sky Nation after black pilots probe. They're calling you a hero and a villain. Zara's lips tightened as she skimmed a headline. Lounge snub sparks airline shutdown, racial revenge? The twist stung, reducing her evidence. Carver's emails, falsified logs, a near-crashed petty grievance. They'll spin it however they want, she said, voice steady. Truth doesn't need a headline. Her phone buzzed. Director Phillips. Zara, you've kicked a hornet's nest. Carver's lawyers filed injunctions in 3 courts, claiming bias. He's got the chairman's ear, saying you're weaponizing the FAA. And Congress wants you hearings set for next week. Let them come, she replied, her resolve unshaken. The evidence is bulletproof. Carver's done. Phillips sighed. It's solid, but the optics? A black captain grounding a major carrier after a lounge spath'll grill you. Be ready. She hung up, feeling the familiar burden of being the only one like her in the room, always proving, never faltering. Kyla caught her eye. Captain Grayson's out there, rallying pilots, says we've ruined their careers. It's getting ugly. Zara nodded, steeling herself. He's scared, Kyla. Fear makes men loud. We'll face it together. Upstairs, Ethan Carver's office was a war room. His tie hung loose, his desk littered with legal briefs as he barked into a speakerphone. I don't care what it costs, dig up everything on Mitchell. Conflicts, old Air Force records, anything to smear her. His general counsel's voice crackled back. Ethan, the recordings Marcus leaked your voice, your orders theory airtight. Injunctions won't hold. The board's furious. Carver slammed the phone down, turning to Victor Grayson, who slumped in a chair, face haggard. She's got my waivers, Ethan. I'm cooked if the NTSB digs in. Then fight. Carver snapped. Rally your pilots, paint her as a radical. I've got a PR firm pushing overzealous die crusader to every outlet. She'll crack. Grayson stood, weary but defiant. I'll try. But she's got the data and the guts. The next 48 hours blurred into chaos. Sky Nation's stock plummeted 60%, stranding thousands of passengers. X erupted with hashtag Zara Hero versus Sky Nation sabotage. Carver's smear campaign hit full throttle. A grainy Air Force photo of Zara surfaced, captioned disgruntled vet targets airline, alongside rumors she'd faked FAA credentials. Anonymous pilots. Grayson's loyalists posted rants. She's punishing us for one jerk at Logan. Zara felt the venom but kept her focus. At a Chicago hotel, she prepped with Kyla and Marcus Chun, now a reluctant ally after his betrayal of Carver. They're coming for my throat, she told them, stacking evidence files. But these logs, emails, SKN 892's recorders speak louder than lies. A week later, she sat before the House Transportation Committee in Washington. Cameras rolling, the room thick with tension. The chair, a stern gray-haired man, leaned forward. Captain Mitchell, walk us through this suspension. Some say it's personal retaliation for a lounge incident. Convince us otherwise. Zara met his gaze, her voice clear and unshakable. It started at Logan denied access with no cause, a jet nearly crashing hours later. But the suspension? That's 372 safety violations, falsified maintenance, pilots flying exhausted, routes deprioritized by passenger value. I stopped SKN 892 from becoming a fireball. This isn't about mites, about lives. She slid a folder across the table. Carver's emails, Marcus's recordings, irrefutable proof. A skeptical congresswoman pressed. Your critics claim racial bias drove Thies's grudge against Sky Nation. How do you respond? Zara didn't blink. I'd asked them to read the fatigue logs. Pilots too tired to react, planes too broken to fly. Race didn't write those emails ordering cuts. Greed did. I'm FAA, not a vigilante. My job is safety, not settling scores. The hearing stretched hours, questions sharp as knives, but Zara stood firm, her evidence a shield. As it wrapped, Phillips met her outside. You held your ground. Federal court denied Sky Nation's appeal this morning. Theory grounded till they fix this mess. Your stock's rising here. Talk of a new FAA division, you leading it. She nodded, relief mingling with exhaustion. Good. But Carver's not done fighting. That night, her phone lit up with a text from her husband, Thomas. Proud of you. Online's brutal, stay strong. She scrolled vicious comments calling her a race-baiting tyrant, offset by supporters hailing her courage. The duality gnawed at her, but a message from Kyla steadied her. I'm with you, Captain. Whatever's next. At Sky Nation, Carver faced the board, his resignation letter sliding across the table. Sign it, the chair growled. Or we leak every directive you gave. He scrawled his name, defeated, knowing Zara had won this round but not the war. Zara stepped into the DC night, the Capitol glowing behind her. The battle had scarred her, but she'd lit a spark. Now she'd fan it into a flame. 3 months later, the FAA's Washington Conference Center buzzed with anticipation. Rows of inspectors, analysts, and aviation leaders filled the room, their eyes fixed on the podium where Captain Zara Mitchell stood. At 42, she wore her authority like a second skin, her captain's stripes traded for a sleek blazer, her presence commanding yet warm. Behind her, a banner read Aviation Compliance and Equity Division, a new arm of the FAA, born from the ashes of Sky Nation's collapse, and she was its first director. The journey from a locked lounge door to this moment had been brutal, but as she gripped the lectern, Zara felt something rare. Peace. She adjusted the mic, her voice resonating with quiet power. The Sky Nation crisis wasn't just about one airline night exposed to truth. When we tolerate discrimination, we breed environments where safety erodes. When we value profit over people, we risk everything aviation stands for. She paused, scanning the room. This division isn't here to punish, it's here to transform. Every passenger, every pilot, deserves the same standard of care, no exceptions. In the front row, First Officer Kyla Evans, now 25 and Zara's deputy, sat beside Marcus Chan and Lisa Dawson, a flight attendant supervisor who joined after exposing crew abuses. Kyla's eyes shone with pride. Marcus nodded, his whistleblower scars fading into purpose. Further back, Zara's husband, Thomas, beamed a rock through the storm of hearings, smears, and sleepless nights. The room erupted in applause as she stepped down, but her mind drifted to how far they'd come. Sky Nation flew again, under new leadership and strict oversight. Its fleet pared down until every violation was scrubbed clean. Ethan Carver's resignation had been the first domino. His career ended in disgrace, his injunctions crumbling under the weight of Marcus's recordings. Victor Grayson retired quietly, replaced by a younger, reform-minded Pilots Association head. Across the industry, airlines launched internal audits, spooked by Zara's precedent. The ripple effect was undeniable. Safety protocols tightened, diversity initiatives gained teeth, and the FAA's new division became a watchdog with bite. But the road hadn't been smooth. Post-hearing, Carver's smear campaign lingered. Ex-posts branding Zara a career killer. Pilots' unions split between gratitude and resentment. She'd faced it all with Kyla at her side. Their bond forged in the fire of that Chicago ops room. Congress had grilled her, but her evidence, 372 violations, a near crash averted, a flight saved, silenced doubters. The federal court's ruling cemented her win, and Phillips's offer of this role had sealed her path. After the speech, Thomas pulled her into a hug. "You've rewritten the rules, Zara, not just for you, but for everyone after." She smiled, weary but warm. "It's a start. There's still resistance, old habits die hard. Then keep fighting," he said, squeezing her hand. "You've got this." As they headed for the exit, a voice stopped her. "Captain Mitchell?" A young black woman in a cadet uniform stepped forward, her braids framing a nervous but determined face. "I'm Leah Brooks. What you did at Sky Nation, it's why I'm here. I want to fly knowing someone like me can stand up." She hesitated, then pressed an old Air Force pin into Zara's hand, a faded relic, gleaming with meaning. Zara's throat tightened as she closed her fingers around it. "Leah, the sky's yours now. It's bigger than it was, and it's waiting." Leah grinned, a spark of the future in her eyes, and walked away with a stride Zara recognized. Unbowed, unbroken. Outside, the DC afternoon glowed golden, the Capitol a silent witness to her climb. Zara slipped the pin into her pocket, a talisman of battles won and those yet to come. That morning at Logan Holt's Sneer, the jet sparks felt like a lifetime ago. She'd entered that terminal as a pilot fighting alone. She'd emerged a force reshaping an industry. The lounge door that locked her out had unlocked a revolution. Back in Chicago, Sky Nation's new CEO pored over compliance reports. A photo of Zara clipped to the Philly, a reminder of the cost of cutting corners. At O'Hare, a pilot checked her rest log, grateful for the extra hours Zara's fight had secured. And in flight schools nationwide, cadets like Leah whispered her name, a legend who'd turned indignity into justice. Zara took Thomas's arm, the pin a quiet weight against her heart. The work wasn't done, resistance loomed, challenges waited, but for the first time, she stood exactly where she was meant to be, doing exactly what she was born to do. The sky stretched wide above, and she'd made it hers not just for herself, but for all who'd follow. 6 months after Captain Zara Mitchell's speech christened the FAA's Aviation Compliance and Equity Division, the air in her new Washington office carried a faint hum of progress. At 42, she sat behind a desk stacked with reports, airlines audited, safety violations slashed, diversity metrics climbing. Her blazer bore no stripes, but the Air Force pin from Cadet Leah Brooks gleamed on her lapel, a quiet testament to her journey. Sky Nation's grounding had been a seismic shift, and her division was the aftershock, reshaping an industry once content to coast on old habits. But on this crisp September morning in 2025, a shadow crept into her hard-won peace. Zara sipped her coffee, reviewing a memo from First Officer Kyla Evans, now her deputy at 25. "Captain Director, Kyla's note began. "United and Delta are on board with the new rest protocols, but we've hit resistance. Smaller carriers are balking, say it's too costly. Pushing back hard." Zara smiled faintly. Kyla's fire mirrored her own, but the smile faded as her phone buzzed with an urgent call from Director Phillips. "Zara," Phillips's voice crackled, tense. "We've got a problem. Horizon Regional Airlines just filed a lawsuit against the FAA, claims your division's regs are overreach, strangling their profits. They've got allies, half a dozen low-cost carriers, plus a lobbying group with deep pockets. And they've hired Ethan Carver as their consultant." Zara's grip tightened on the phone, her coffee forgotten. "Carver? He's back. Out of retirement," Phillips confirmed. "He's pitching this as a crusade of tyranny, killing jobs. They're gunning for you." Zarair names all over their press releases. "Hearing set for next month, Senate Commerce Committee. It's personal." She leaned back, the pin's weight pressing against her chest. Carver's disgrace had been total resignation, stock crash, a pariah in aviation circles. Yet here he was, clawing back with venom aimed at her. "He's got no legs," she said, voice steady. "Sky Nation proved the cost of cutting corners." "True," Phillips replied. "But he's got friends, senators, CEOs, old boy networks. And Horizon's digging up dirt. Logan, your Air Force days. They'll paint you as a zealot again. We need a counterpunch." "I'll handle it," Zara said, hanging up. She buzzed Kyla into the office. "Horizon's suing Carver's behind it. Get Marcus and Lisa. Pull every audit we've done on regional carriers. We're fighting facts with facts." Kyla nodded, her jaw set. "He's a ghost that won't stay buried. What's his play?" "Revenge," Zara said simply. And a lifeline for his ego. He thinks he can undo us. That afternoon, the division's war room hum tablets glowed with data. Coffee cups piled up. Marcus Chan, now an analyst after his Sky Nation whistleblowing, flagged a pattern. Horizon's maintenance logs 50% of their fleets overdue for inspections. They're hiding it with creative scheduling. Lisa Dawson added. Crew complaints to fatigue, short staffing. Same playbook as Sky Nation, just quieter. Zara's eyes narrowed. They're betting we won't catch it before the hearing. Let's prove them wrong. Full audit. Horizon's hubs, unannounced. Tomorrow. The next day, Zara led a team to Horizon's Cincinnati base. Her blazer swapped for a high-vis vest. Inspectors swarmed hangars, pilots eyed her warily, and managers scrambled. By noon, they grounded 4 planes' cracked landing gear, faulty hydraulics, echoes of Logan's near crash. A Horizon exec cornered her, red-faced. You're killing us, Mitchell. Carver said you'd overstep. Overstep? She shot back, holding up a cracked gear strut. This kills passengers. Tell Carver he's betting on the wrong horse again. Word of the raid spread fast. X lit up. Zara strikes again, trending alongside Save Horizon. Carver's PR machine roared. Mitchell's vendetta continues. Jobs lost, fares up. But her team's evidence, photos of rusted parts, pilot testimonies countered it, gaining traction with SkySafe supporters. A week later, Zara faced the Senate Commerce Committee, Carver in the gallery, his smirk barely masked. The chair, a gruff Texan, banged his gavel. Director Mitchell, Horizon alleges your regs cripple small airlines. Carver says you're a one-woman wrecking ball. Defend it. Zara stood, her voice cutting through the room's hum. Horizon's not crippled by regs theory, crippled by neglect. For planes grounded last week, hydraulics failing, crews exhausted. I've got logs, photos, pilot statements. This isn't overreach, it's prevention. Carver's here because he lost this fight once, doesn't get a redo. She slid a folder forward. Horizon's violations, a mirror to Sky Nation's sins. Carver leapt up, shouting. She's a liar. It's personal. Security hauled him out, his yells fading as senators flipped through her proof. The chair nodded. Compelling, Director. We'll review. Outside, Kyla met her, grinning. You smoked him again. Zara exhaled, the pin glinting in the sun. He's down, not out. But we're stronger. That night, Thomas cooked dinner, her first home-cooked meal in weeks. You're a force, he said, kissing her forehead. They can't stop you. She smiled, but her mind drifted to Leah Brooks, now in flight school, and countless others watching. Carver's threat loomed, a storm on the horizon, but Zara had weathered worse. The sky was hers to defend, and she'd fight as long as it took. The autumn chill of October 2025 bit at Zara Mitchell's skin as she stood on the tarmac of Cincinnati/Northern Kentucky International Airport, watching Horizon Regional Airlines grounded planes gleam under floodlights. At 42, she'd grown accustomed to the weight of her role as director of the FAA's Aviation Compliance and Equity Division. But the past month since Horizon's lawsuit and Ethan Carver's venomous return had stretched her resolve thin. The Senate hearing had been a win, her evidence silencing doubters, but Carver's shadow lingered, a predator circling her legacy. Tonight, that shadow would roar into a firestorm. Her phone buzzed. First Officer Kyla Evans, 25, her deputy and right hand. Director, we've got a situation. Horizon's pushing an unscheduled flight CVG to Dallas right now. They're claiming emergency cargo. But the pilot's off a 12-hour shift, and the plane's one we flagged last week, hydraulics still unchecked. Zara's blood ran cold, the memory of SKN 892's near crash flashing like a warning light. They're defying the grounding order, she asked, already striding toward the FAA's mobile command trailer. Looks like it, Kyla said, her voice tight. Carver's behind it, consultant or not. He's got Horizon's ear. X is lighting up. Horizon fights back. They're daring us to stop them. Inside the trailer, Zara's team snapped to life. Screens flickered with radar. Radios crackled. Marcus Chan, analyst and ex-Sky Nation whistleblower, pulled up the flight manifest. HRN 144, departing in 15 minutes. Pilots' fatigue metrics are redlining. Reaction delays logged yesterday. Hydraulics. No repair records since our raid. Lisa Dawson, the division's crew liaison, added. Ground staff's whispering Carver told management to force the FAA's hand. It's a stunt to prove your regs are unenforceable. Zara's jaw clenched. Leah Brooks's Air Force pin a steady weight in her pocket. They want a showdown? They'll get one. She grabbed a radio, patching to the tower. This is Director Zara Mitchell, FAA. HRN 144 is grounded safety violation. Fatigue and maintenance. Shut it down now. The controller's voice wavered. Ma'am, Horizon's execs are here, say it's cleared, legal's handling it. They're rolling to the runway. Then I'm handling it, Zara snapped, bolting outside. She flagged a security truck, Kyla piling in beside her. Get us to runway 18, move. The vehicle screeched across the tarmac, lights flashing. As HRN 144, a sleek regional jet taxied into position, engines whining. Zara's heart pounded. This wasn't just defiance. It was a gauntlet thrown at her feet. The truck skidded to a halt, blocking the runway's edge. Zara leapt out, megaphone in hand, her voice booming over the jet's roar. HRN 144, this is FAA Director Mitchell. You are grounded, cut engines or we seize the aircraft. Kyla waved a red flare, signaling the tower, while security swarmed behind them. The jet hesitated, then powered down, its nose dipping as if bowing. The cockpit door cracked open, and a haggard pilot, Captain Ellis, stumbled out, hands raised. I didn't want this, he shouted over the wind. They said it was legal, Carver swore it. Zara lowered the megaphone, her eyes fierce. You're safe now. Get some rest, we've got this. As security escorted Ellis away, Horizon CO stormed up, face purple. You've got no right, Mitchell. This is sabotage. No, she shot back, thrusting a tablet at him, fatigue logs, maintenance gaps glowing on screen. This is survival. Your stunt ends here. By dawn, HRN 144's defiance was national news. Zara stops flight, trending alongside footage of her on the runway. A lone figure against a jet. Carver's gambit backfired. The FAA seized Horizon's operating certificate for willful non-compliance, grounding their fleet indefinitely. Senators who'd backed Carver distanced themselves, and the lobbying group faltered as public outrage grew, passengers chanting, "Safety first," outside Horizon's offices. But the victory was bittersweet. Zara returned to D.C., her office a hive of activity as Kyla briefed her. Horizon's toast, but Carver's vanished. Rumors he's pitching a rogue airline coalition to fight us. An X? It's a war zone. Half call you a tyrant, half a saint. Zara rubbed her temples, exhaustion creeping in. He's a cockroach, keeps crawling back. What's our move? Marcus chimed in. We've got leverage. Horizon's data's a goldmine. Patterns match 5 other carriers. Hit them with audits, show the coalition we're not bluffing. Agreed, Zara said, rallying. Kyla prepped the teams. Lisa, get pilot unions on board, show them we're their shield, not their enemy. That night, Thomas met her at home, a rare quiet amid the storm. You're a legend out there, he said, pouring wine. Carver's losing, but he's desperate, watch your back. She nodded, sipping slowly, the pin a steady anchor. He's not the first to underestimate me. Won't be the last. Across town, Carver hunched in a dimly lit bar, a burner phone in hand. Tell the others Mitchell's weak spot is her team. We hit there, she falls. His smirk was back, a predator licking wounds, plotting anew. On a flight school tarmac, Leah Brooks aced her first solo, her instructor clapping. Heard about Cincinnati, he said. Mitchell's why I'm pushing. Yosha's rewriting the sky. Leah grinned, her future bright, unaware of the shadows stirring. Zara gazed out her window, the capital aglow. HRN 144's engines had stilled, but Carver's war drums beat on. She'd won this round, but the fight was eternal and she'd meet it head-on, for Leah, for Kyla, for every soul aloft. As the dust settled over Cincinnati's tarmac and Horizon Regional Airlines' defiance crumbled into headlines, Captano Director Zara Mitchell stood at her D.C. office window, the city lights twinkling like stars she'd once chased in the cockpit. It was late October 2025, and the past 8 months had been a wild ride, from a locked lounge door to grounding 2 airlines, dodging Ethan Carver's endless comebacks, and turning the aviation world upside down. Her team, Kyla, Marcus, Lisa, had become her co-pilots in this storm, and Leah Brooks's pin still sat in her pocket, a tiny compass guiding her through the turbulence. But as she sipped her now cold coffee, Zara knew this wasn't the end, just a pit stop in a flight plan that stretched beyond the horizon. Let's zoom out for a sec, folks. Picture this. It's 2025 and here we are, still fighting the same old battles, greed cutting corners, power pushing back against change, and one stubborn woman with a megaphone saying, "Not on my watch." Sound familiar? Whether it's airline skimping on safety or your boss skimping on coffee filter, seriously, who approves watery brew? The lesson's the same, shortcuts crash and someone's gotta call it out. Zara's not just a hero in a blazer. She's the friend we all need. The one who grabs the wheel when the car's veering off a cliff, even if it means getting honked at by the backseat drivers. And here's the kicker: Carver's still out there, plotting in some shady bar like a cartoon villain who forgot he's already lost twice. But Zara? She's not sweating it. She's got her team, her evidence, and a sky full of Leahs ready to take off. So the big takeaway? Stand up, speak out, and don't let the Carvers of the world convince you the plane's fine when it's leaking fuel. Oh, and maybe check your own maintenance logs, like, when's the last time you fixed that wobbly chair instead of hoping it holds? Now I've got a question for you, dear listener. What's your locked lounge door? That one thing blocking you from where you deserve to be, work, life, that dream you've shelved? Drop it in the comments. I'm dying to know what you'd megaphone your way through. And while you're at it, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Zara's saga might be pausing here, but there's more sky-high stories coming your way, tales of grit, guts, and the occasional mid-flight snack debate. You won't want to miss takeoff. So here's to Zara Mitchell, proof that one voice can ground a fleet and lift a generation. The sky's not just hers, Anna Marie, it's ours. What are you gonna do with it?